Hello there everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and we have the news finally. It's been a little bit late today on the 10x champions coming as part of the Summon Rush event for this weekend and as part of the Morrigaine fusion. So it's certainly interesting. If you're going for the fusion, you're gonna have to pull shards for these champions. If you're not going for the fusion, will you be tempted? Because there's usually a theme to these events, a pretty clear theme. I will be honest though, I cannot for the life of me see a theme to this one. This just seems to be, to me, almost a list of people's most wanted champions just across every different category. That's what it seems to me, just the most popular ones. I don't know, though. Let me know if you spot something. We only have 2 regular epics, so from Ancients and Sacred Shards, going to be boosted in the 10x. Allure is the first one. Really strong, extremely good for Fire Knight. This A1, you often actually turn off for other abilities, believe it or not. But 3 hits at random decrease target's turn meter by 25% on each critical hit. That's 75% turn meter depletion every single turn against a single target like the Fire Knight. Really good for Dark Fae as well. Actually can be really good against stuff like Scarab Boss too, if you put her with like a Blood Shield accessory and she's keeping that turn meter down. So just an insane champ, super useful. You probably want 2 of them, to be honest, just to give you some of that flexibility. So yeah, she's a great one. A really, really nice one to get, for a newer player who's doing the fusion, looking for that, speed booster in Morrigaine that might not have Allure. Getting Allure is going to be such a good combo there. So I think that's fantastic. Next up, and again, I really don't see any rhyme or reason to this, but Husk. Husk is boosted too. Hey, so Husk is the other regular epic. Obviously extremely good. He comes in, he is a tanky champion, so that is really useful. He's really shines in Hydra. He comes in with an AoE that does enemy max HP damage. So this absolutely smacks on Hydra. Not really important for normal, not even that important for hard, but kind of from hard he gets good, and then on brutal and on nightmare he's extremely good. And one of the big reasons now is his A1. He has a 40% chance to provoke. That's really solid for trying to lock down the Head of Decay. It gives you that extra chance, which is sometimes all you need, right? Just to have your damage either fill in. He doesn't do much else, but he does that stuff well. And, he's got some AoE stun and stuff, so he's okay-ish for Faction Wars, but his damage is going to be very low for Faction Wars. He's also extremely good against Magma Dragon, because he can provoke and he just chunks him. So, yeah. Really good epic. 2 very good epics. Now, the Void epic that is going to be boosted, again, in terms of most popular, most wanted, it's Madame Serris. Everyone's favorite arena epic. It's just an insane move. Midnight Ritual here. Full buff strip, decrease attack, decrease defense on all enemies. That is just so strong. So she is really relevant all the way up to, I'd say, very end game arena where she kind of falls off and the meta really goes crazy. But yeah, just, for 99% of players, she is going to be most likely a massive asset to your classic arena team. Certainly she's going to be good for your 3v3 team, so she's very good. She's got some more stuff here as well. So yeah, she's a great champion. We all know about Madame. Now we come to the legendaries. We've got 3 legendaries from Ancients and Sacred Shards in the 10x. The first one is a lot of people's most wanted at the moment. It's Theodore the Savant, the speedrun king himself. Obviously there's a lot of hype, a lot of discussion around old Myceliac Priest Orin over here. Great solo champion still, Orin, after the nerf. Of course, the best solo champ in the game by far is Theodore. He comes in with, he has AoE poisons and poison sensitivity. He then can explode those poisons. He can also explode HP burns, so you can use him to explode your burns for spider speed runs. He has AoE decreased speed. He has an increased speed on the A2 for your whole team, so he's actually pretty nifty for Hydra as well. He brings you all the speed manipulation and some poison stuff and some burn explosions is actually quite good too. So yeah, really strong champion. This is the guy that I'll be hoping to pull. Really, no question. This guy is completely nuts. But we have some other insane contenders to go with them. Hefrak is also being boosted. One of the hardest hitting champs in the game. I don't want Hefrak as much now myself because I do have a Baron, and Baron kind of does that. But Hefrak, prior to Baron, was one of the biggest hitters, really. He gives himself increased attack, increased crit rate with an extra turn. And then he's got this hit here. Ignores 15% of the target's defense, and it hits twice if he knocks an enemy, or if the enemies are less than 50% after the first hit. If you get that double hit, this hits so hard, it is disgusting. And he actually gets to activate that skill for free whenever an ally on his team is killed. It does have a 4-turn cooldown, but you put him in with someone and they die, and he's just going to explode and destroy people. His A1 also does an extra hit if he crits. So he does have affinity issues, but Hefrak, very, very strong nuker still. Yeah, he's very, very strong. I do think, you could run into some issues. I guess that's the thing. If you hit a reaction piece, he might not get the extra hit and you could struggle there. But yeah, he's still very good. And then finally, this is probably the least interesting one, but I would like to have her, which is Xavia. One of the OG Poison Explosion champions, right? So she's got AoE Poison Attack. Her A1 is a triple hitter that can put poison as well. But then this move is the real special one. AoE that blocks Revive. That's cool. And also explodes all poisons instantly. Useful thing to have. Useful toolkit for your arsenal. I do think that Elenarl is maybe a bit stronger overall in the end game, where you don't really need them to be applying the poisons. Elenarl can blow it up just fine, regardless of affinity, because her move is not dependent on affinity, for example. But Xavia is still really good and can be great for, really good for Ice Golem. Like if you kill the ads, they can't be respawned, and that can make it really, really clean to actually solo it down. So she's still a great champion. She does have a combo with Bellinor, but he's only really used for clan boss, so this never really gets to work. But she's good. She's very, very low defense, but yeah, great champion. I'd love to have her. But yeah, funny enough, I think most people like Xavia more or prefer her. I actually think that Elenarl is probably a bit better overall at the moment. Then we come to the two Void Legendaries. The first one is the one I just pulled like a couple of weeks ago or a week ago or so. I don't know when it was now. But Hegemon, there you go. So I actually did a showcase of him, just showing him. I put him in some gear, took him into the arena. I think he is still very good. The concern with Hegemon is that he's not as relevant in the meta anymore, right? He goes first each round, always goes first. So you get to attack the enemy team before they have a chance to do anything. Now, reaction accessories, stone skin gear, all that stuff really messes him up, but he's still very, very useful. It's still a thing that people have to think about in terms of arena defense. So he's not really good for arena defense in classic arena, like, past, if you're trying to go into platinum or something, he's not really going to be relevant there. But in a lot of 3v3 arena, he's still going to be a defensive threat, something they have to plan for, which is good. They're not, they might not have multiple teams that are capable of dealing with Hegemon style threats. And he's very, very good on offense because it's usually fairly obvious. You do, find the odd curveball. I found my first Arbiter and Stone Skin recently, which I think is kind of a good call. Bit of a cheeky decision, and I like it. But you don't find that often. You kind of know champions like Kaimar and Arbiter and stuff, they're not going to be in Stone Skin. So he can come in with like a stun set or a provoke set, one of those crowd control artifact sets. He can come in, he can AoE, attempt to lock them down. He can do his A1, attempt to push their turn meter back. He can do some cool stuff. So he's still a really good champion. And yeah, at the very least, you can build him to nuke, and he can absolutely destroy faction wars if you want as well. And then the final champion that is boosted would be one of my most wanted in the game, for sure. Probably for everyone. Nekret the Great. This guy is the best arena defense champion in the game. I ranked him as number 1. Maybe a couple of months ago. I think I still would be ranking him number 1 here today as well. He is just so good. It's disgusting. Look, he goes in, he puts out block debuff strength. You know what he does. He puts out all of these buffs on an ally. He gives them a huge shield. It makes it so difficult to kill the champion that he protects, and he does it at the start of the fight. You can't remove ally protection. If you give him protection set, he can potentially protect block debuffs, or the strength and the shield can be protected, which just sucks. If the enemy champion has Lightning Cage, if they're awakened, Lightning Cage can protect these debuffs. Stuff gets nasty. It does have the ally attack and everything as well. This guy is absolutely insane. I'm pretty sure that, at the moment it's the Nekret meta through and through and through. This is the guy. This is the guy to have. This is the guy to beat. So yeah, he's very good. So there you go. They are the champions. What do I think about this overall? I definitely think in terms of the legendaries, it is very tempting. I think for Krakens looking at this, the Krakens are probably going to be a little bit annoyed that Hegemon is in there, and they're definitely going to be eyeing up the Nekret. There's kind of no question right there. So it's an interesting one for the Krakens. I do think then Xavia, Hefrak, and Theodore, I think that's a pretty appealing one, again, to be pulling for. So if you're pulling for this fusion, I think you're going to be pretty happy. And I think Allure and Husk are good champions in there as well. Husk is a champion you can kind of wait to get. I feel like you don't need to rush to get a Husk. You'll get one eventually, and he really becomes his own big deal at really the higher levels of Hydra. So by the time you've got the gear to do the higher levels of Hydra, you'll most likely have stumbled your way onto a Husk by then. Allure is one that you really do want to get early, though. You know, she's so helpful for Fire Knight and for Doom Tower. That's a really big deal. So picking up an Allure, that's really good. So I think it's a very, very nice 10x for anyone who's going for this Summon Rush event, if you have to. If you're not going for it, of course, it is a 10x event. Your chances to actually pull these champions are still very low. You really want to be tracking your mercy timer. You need to track it yourself with like a piece of paper and just keep track of how many champions you've summoned since a legendary, so you can know when your increased chances are going to start to stack up. And then you can make that decision. Would I pull if I wasn't doing this event? Probably not. Seeing as I have I don't know. Seeing as I have Hegemon already, I might go for Necret, maybe. That would be somewhat tempting. I'd definitely be tempted for that. Then for Hefrak, Theodore, Xavia, I don't need Hefrak or Xavia. They'd be nice to have, but I don't need them. Theodore would be really good, but because it's only one of 3, I probably wouldn't go for either. So that'd be my thoughts on it. If I wasn't going for this event, I personally wouldn't pull. That's what I would think, but I think a lot of people probably will be tempted because there are such good champions. But yeah, there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you are going to do. I'll share you my shard pulls because I'm going to be pulling some sacred shards for this. So I'll share my shard pulls probably tomorrow. So yeah, I'll see you all for that. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.